Full Swing Season 3 is finally here. And let me tell you, this season had more twists and turns than my last attempt at a flop shot, which, by the way, ended up with me apologizing to the guy on the next hole. Anyway, welcome back, golfers, to Sam Roberts Golf. We have all the drama not seen in the tournaments this last year, and obviously spoiler warning if you've not seen the season yet. Go ahead, go watch it, and I'll be here waiting for you when you get back. I'll give you some time. Alright, welcome back. If you enjoy golf content, make sure to like and hit subscribe so you never miss out on another video. Alright, let's dive in. Season 3 brings back our favorite players while adding some new faces as well. This season dives into the stories much like the first two seasons, however with some added twists and some unexpected moments as well. This year's names include Scottie Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Bryson DeChambeau, Keegan Bradley, and many other names as well. More on the bigger stories later. Season 3 has the same feel as the first two seasons, however with a lot less drama between LIV and the PGA Tour. This season culminates at the President's Cup, which is a perfect fit from this last year, including the Olympics as well, giving an international versus USA overarching storyline. Which, by the way, America did end up winning both the Olympics and the President's Cup. What is a kilometer? The season starts right in the thick of Scottie's dominating run. The episodes follow numerous tour events, much like the previous two seasons, however with a little bit out of order, just for ease of storytelling, but they still stay mostly in sequential order. Which, let's be honest, is how I tell stories too. So first this happened, wait, no, actually before this. Okay, let me start over. The season starts at the Masters and follows how many players, including Ludvig Åberg, is trying to catch Scottie. Trying to catch Scottie in 2025 is like trying to catch your plane after you slept through your alarm. It's just not happening. Then we dive into Rory and Shane Lowry's story, while Hadwin and Taylor try to make the President's Cup team. Next, they dive into the PGA Championship and the US Open, followed by how caddies help players. Next up is an episode about making the Olympic teams for Wyndham Clark and Minwoo Lee, and then that is followed up by the final two emotional episodes of the season, talking about Gary Woodland's brain issues, Patrick Rose's quote-unquote last shot, and the culmination of course, the President's Cup. I will say, Keegan Bradley's comeback story is still one of my favorites. After being omitted from the 2023 Ryder Cup team, he secures the clinching point for Team USA in the President's Cup and is also selected to lead Team USA in the 2025 Ryder Cup. Obviously, since this documentary is about golf that has already been played, we already know the results. However, the writers and the editors still pack each episode with a ton of suspense, keeping the viewer engaged. Now that the recap is out of the way, let's look at the biggest stories. The biggest stories from this last year include Scottie's dominance, Rory's roller coaster of a season, and trying to be good enough to make a team and represent your country, whether that be for the Olympics or for the President's Cup. First, let's dive into Scottie's dominance. Scottie started the year off to a hot start, including this season of Full Swing. Scottie's dominance spreads over multiple episodes as he has one of the most dominant seasons in recent PGA Tour history. The main story around his success is how his caddy helps him and how others are trying to catch up to him as well. This goes all the way through the Tour Championship, where Sahith Theegala was chasing, but he called a penalty on himself, and this penalty resulted in him winning $3 million less, or about 2.4 million cans of SpaghettiOs for those counting at home. Anyway, one large part of the trailer was Scottie's arrest at the PGA Championship, just hours before he was set to tee off in the second round. While it was very large in the moment, Full Swing only talks about the situation briefly before recapping how he shot 66 later that round. I can't even play that well after waiting too long at the turn for a hot dog, but he can stretch in a jail cell and comes out and shoots 5 under? Insanity. Him being able to keep his composure and still come out and be in contention was something we had never seen before, especially given the circumstances. But I guess he was just trying to be like Tiger. The next big story includes Rory's roller coaster of a season. It includes the highs of winning a couple tournaments early, but the lows of the divorce as well. The main episode about Rory is episode 3, Don't Call It a Comeback. This episode also follows that of Bryson and his narrative to change how the public views him and become the people's champion. But back to Rory, the episode follows how he struggles on and off the course, both with personal issues and just his golf game. Rory still had a great year, however came up just short in the US Open. He seems to kind of just lose it all after missing a very short putt on 16. However, this also gave us our second golf meme of the year. If you're still watching, you must love golf as much as I do. So, make it official, hit that subscribe button. Finally, most of the other stories revolve around players trying to prove something, especially trying to make their teams either for the Olympics or for the President's Cup. This involves a lot of golfers from the US, Australia, and Canada. However, out of all of the stories, there are none quite as emotional as that of Gary Woodland and him coming back after having open brain surgery. Another emotional moment is the loss of Camilo Villegas' daughter. Even though that happened in 2020, they still cover it here because of the great work that they are doing through Mia's miracle. Season 3 had some winners and losers as well. First, let's look at the top 3 losers. First for the losers were unfortunately Adam Hadwin and Nick Taylor. While I would have loved to see them compete in the President's Cup for Canada, they fell just short of the captain's picks for the team. Next, we have the Louisville Police Department. This goes without saying, but a lot of the clips further enforce that nobody actually knew who Scottie Scheffler was until he was being escorted back to the golf course, despite being number 1 in the world in golf. I mean, the man wins back-to-back Masters and they think he's just some random guy trying to cut in line? Finally, we have the devastation of the international team in the President's Cup. After months of hype surrounding the team that was made for the President's Cup, the international team was unable to beat Team USA. Next up, 3 winners from the season. First up, obviously, Scottie Scheffler. Needless to say, he was the undisputed best player from last season, hands down. Next, we have Bryson DeChambeau. After being considered one of the most hated golfers just a few years back, he was able to change his narrative and actually become, quote-unquote, the people's champion and be a crowd favorite. Our final biggest winner was Gary Woodland. After having the setback of having open brain surgery, he was able to come back and still compete on the world's largest stage in golf. And that was the emotional story that honestly I was not expecting to see out of this season. Overall, this season felt very on brand for Full Swing. However, after watching it, I did feel like there were some parts that were omitted and some other stories that should have just been expanded on. First, the overall storyline of including a couple different golfers each episode is great for the story. It really introduces only a couple players at a time and makes it easier for the viewer to understand so there's not too many names being used all at once. However, when it came to the season as a whole, I felt like there were a lot of things missing from the season. Scottie's arrest was only a small part of episode 3, and so was Rory's divorce. Not to mention, they omitted the complete Saturday rounds of the President's Cup. In a season that had a lot of chaos in a short period of time, I would have loved to seen a lot more locker room footage, especially when Scottie was arrested. Another story I wish I heard more of was the Olympics. This is only a tournament that comes around every 4 years, and I would have loved to see life in the Olympic Village and just overall reactions from the Olympics from the players. However, having each season end with a World versus USA overarching storyline is a great formula for Full Swing, and I hope that this trend continues this year with the 2025 Ryder Cup being the culmination of Season 4. So what do you think? Drop your favorite moments in the comments. If you like this recap, please drop a like and subscribe for more golf content as well. And if you don't subscribe, I'll just assume you're still salty about Scottie winning so many tournaments this last year. It's okay, we've all been there. Anyway, see you next time.